My name is Collins Dwe, the CEO of Nyaluk Foundation. Nyaluk Foundation majorly deals with sexual and reproductive health, mental health, and environment and health. We are located at Nasha Plaza, first floor, Mosque Road. And today we want to reintroduce Afya Yetu TV program, a session which deals with matters health. And today I have with me Dr. Salvan. Dr. Salvan will introduce himself and tell us where he works.
Good morning, our esteemed viewers. As told by my colleague here, my name is Dr. King O'Sullivan. Dr. King O'Sullivan, currently I work in PGH Nakuru. I am also the Secretary General and the CEO of a CBO by the name Victoria Medics Empowerment Organization that majorly deals with giving back to the community, mentorship, education, and reaching out to our communities in matters health. Today I'm excited and humbled to be here to join my colleague in a discussion on reproductive health. Yeah, that is a very heated topic that is always on debates, and we would like to delve deep into it and discuss it into details. Welcome to our viewers, and I hope you're going to enjoy it.
Okay, as you've been told, Dr. Kelo Salvan works at PGH, and today he want us to understand more on family planning and contraception. And before we move any further, we would like to know, Daktari, if you can tell us what is family planning. Maybe you can just give us a definition of family planning. Family planning inamaanisha nini na contraception, because you get that most of the people, they know family planning and contraception is one thing. So maybe, Daktari, you can help us understand the definition and the differences of family planning and contraception.
Asante sana, Collins. We'll be using both languages for ease of understanding, because the main thing is we convey the message ifike kwa ground, sindio?
Yes.
These two terms are usually confused, contraception and family planning. Contraception is a broader net of the term family planning. Otherwise, both of them refers to means that you can use to prevent and plan pregnancies. For family planning, majorly, we restrict our talks to those who have families, those already who have kids and would want to manage or plan the frequencies of having their children. But with contraception, we talk about a whole array of contraceptive services that targets all the way from adolescents, those not in families. We talk to them about how they can plan, prevent, and even options of how they can have their frequencies of childbearing, generally rotating about family, childbearing, and pregnancies. It's a very important topic, even to those who don't have families yet, because the earlier we teach about this, the earlier we prevent things like teenage pregnancies that are at a very high rise at our communities as we speak.
So I think from what you've said, what I've gotten is family planning is for those who have families, watu wenye wako kwa ndoa. And for contraception, you can be using contraception when you have sexual intercourse, but you're not in the family, because you can only plan a family when you are in a family, like when you are married or something. But when you are not married, maybe you are just having casual sexual intercourse and you're not in a family, you're not planning, but you are preventing pregnancy.
That is very true, Daktari. Actually, I want to correct the part of casual sexual intercourse. Because the point of having this discussion, it should not appear like we are promoting these vices, especially for teenagers and adolescents. But the main message should be, the main message should be abstinence first, especially for those who are not married. Then we talk about contraception as a sexual reproductive health awareness and education, so that they can know these options early enough. As they grow up while knowing these things, so that when the time comes, they can make better options. They can manage families better when they reach that age. And they can generally have a work-life balance between family and work.
Okay, Doc. So maybe if we can just dive right in, what are the penetration of the family planning, maybe according to the World WHO, or consumption locally in Kenya, according to Kenya Bureau of Statistics?
Very nice. Actually, at the moment in Kenya, the use of contraception actually is on a decline. The rates are worryingly low. And this is what we refer to as the unmet needs of contraception. It means you have a people who can benefit from contraceptive services, but they don't use them either because they are not aware, they are not available, ama education haijafika mashinani. Still on that, you have a lot of myths and misconceptions that are surrounding this debate that majorly influence the role of uptake of contraceptive services. These include cultural factors. We also have socioeconomic factors. We have gender factors still, which again is a very key topic on the role of men in reproductive health and uptake of contraceptive services. According to 2019 Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the unmet need of contraceptive services was at a staggering 20%, over 20%. It means one in five people who have benefited from contraception end up not doing so because either they lacked it or they are not aware. This instead has a ripple effect on the outcome, because we end up having teenage pregnancies, we end up having unplanned pregnancies. I have to stress on the part unplanned because we don't say unwanted pregnancies nowadays. No pregnancy is unwanted, yes, but you have unplanned pregnancies. So the unmet needs of contraception at 20%, that is 1 in 5 not meeting their needs for contraception for the various reasons that you stated, is actually a staggering number. And through talks like this, making the public aware, talking about it, we work towards bridging this gap so that we can have a community whereby this is talked about freely. We've demystified the myths and misconceptions, and at least people are free to talk about contraception. It's quick kama taboo. Yeah. Huko nje kuna watu wanaaminia hizi vitu ni
like normally you get that most people like for example teenagers, they hide when they are taking these drugs because maybe people whom they are living will judge them or something. I don't know if that's what you mean by watu wasione kama ni taboo.
Yes, partly. And still even in myths, the community contraceptions can make you infertile. There are those that believe that contraceptive services can reduce the social standing as a woman, especially some communities in Kenya whereby giving birth to many kids was considered prestige.
Sure.
Yes, so you find that when you try to introduce the topic of contraception in such community, you're met with a lot of resistance. Because the feeling is, by using that, I'll feel less of a woman. This can make me infertile. When we come to the point of teenagers and adolescents, it's a very precarious topic because we have the laws of land that govern it. We have the morality issue. We have the church.
Yeah.
And there's a major debate going around it on how early should we start sexual education? How early and how appropriate can we start this discussion with our kids? The reality of the matter, the truth on the ground is, with the uprising of technology, with our community as of today, parents, the church, we take control of our kids, but you find that we can't control much of what they get access to at the end of the day, no matter how much we try. So we find that the truth is, these kids get to know a lot of these things when they're still at a tender age. it's still under debate. The last time I saw a debate on when we should start sexual education, I think it was introduced in the curriculum. But again, many debates came up and it was again removed from our curriculum. But either way, what we need to agree on that it's necessary for our adolescents and teenagers to be made aware, to be taught, and to be kept abreast with information on sexual health, reproductive. This is not to encourage sex in our teens, but this is to help them make informed decisions when they reach the age of childbearing and generally the age of starting a family.
Our fellow viewers, if you are just joining us for the first time, we are live at Tumaini TV, and today we are talking about sexual and reproductive health, to be specific, family planning and contraceptive. Dr. Salvan is trying to tell us the differences between family planning and contraception, and when and where. When he is trying to tell us about when you can start having this contraception, the myth and the misconception about the contraception and family planning. And if you have any question pertaining this topic, you can send your SMS at 0101 at 0110 100 258. 0110 100 258. You can SMS your question and we'll be able to answer you during the show. So, Dr. Salvan, I think umetupea mawaidha, umetupea very good in-depth on the introductory part of family planning and contraception. And now, I think from where I work, there's people who normally come and tells me that, Daktari, when I'm having this contraception, for example, the 3 months one, they say that wanakuwa baridi, ati the sexual urge reduces. I don't know if that's the case, and if that's the case, what normally happens so that this person start developing the reduced sexual urge, kwa lugha ya kimombo tuseme reduced libido. I don't know if you can just highlight on some issues, maybe what leads to that in a minute or so.
Asante sana daktari. Actually, the issue you've just raised is one of the myths and misconceptions that I've said that we need to demystify when tackling matters contraceptive health. Each and every form of contraception has its side effects that are clearly outlined in that drug sheet manual. Ukichukua dawa kunako kashit kanakuanga hapo ndani. Of those side effects, most of them you find them categorized into, you have common side effects and the adverse side effects and the rare side effects. Just like any other drug, each contraception when taken has its common side effects that usually the caregiver or the healthcare provider should explain in details the form of contraception, how it works, and the common side effects that should be expected. Talking about the 3-month one, I think we're talking about Depo. Yeah, Depo that we refer to as medroxyprogesterone. It's made of progesterone. I think the dosage is 150 mg.
Yeah.
If I can remember well, yeah. Its mode of action really does not in any way lead to reduced libido. Yes, it can lead to irregular bleeding. It can lead to irregular menses. And it can also lead to reduced bleeding at some point. Kwamba inaweza fika point it seems like they're spotting. But when used correctly and consistently, once stopped, all these things are reversible and you can return back to your normal cycle and normal menses. Talking about myths and misconceptions, I can actually highlight other common ones. venye tu umesema in practice najua umekutana nazo mingi sana. Kuna hiyo ya reduced libido, kuna yenye nimesema ya reduced social standing, kuna ingine a very common one ya weight gain. Though these are controversial one, because really it's on record that there are some contraception that can lead to
reduced weight gain,
actually increased weight gain generally.
Yeah.
Yes, but not all of them. That's what I'm saying. Each and every form of contraception has its common side effects, and that should be explained to you by the healthcare provider in detail.
Yeah, just on that point, maybe you can tell us the available methods of family planning, and maybe if a viewer is watching right now and they are asking what are options they have, and where can they get these services, and maybe the cost of this family planning, because generally we know we have short-term, long-term family planning, and also you know each and every family planning has got its own effect, and there is one which is normally used. It's called after pill, which if you go to the pharmacies very early in the morning, you get that people like buying it a lot, and I'm told it has some side effects which people don't know. So maybe you can tell us, you can take us through the types of family planning and their costs, and maybe if you name one, you can maybe name 1-2 advantages, 1-2 disadvantages as we move along.
Asante sana daktari. The available forms of contraception that you have, they differ, and we can classify them depending on many points. We have those that can be used short term, or those can be used long term. That depends on the duration. We also have those that can be used, like the one you're calling after pills. We call them emergency contraceptives, like those that can be used after a sexual encounter, and somebody wants to use them instantly to prevent the occurrence of a pregnancy. These are the ones we refer to as emergency contraceptives, just like the one you've talked about, commonly known as P2, the after pill you're talking about. And another form of emergency contraceptive, you have IUDs can actually be used as a contraception. Actually, most people don't know this. IUD can be used as an emergency pill for a period lasting, it can work for within a 5-day period from the day of sexual encounter. It's actually one of the pills that can be that gives you that large window after the encounter. Yes, that still depends on the duration. They can still be classified depending on their composition. Like we have estrogen containing pills, we have POPs, progesterone only pills, we have combined pills like the COCs, and then we have the devices that can be inserted, copper IUDs, hormonal IUDs. We have the implants, that can still be inserted. Zinakuwa inserted mahali hapa. And still another classification method we can have depending on how they are administered. We have those that are taken orally, those that can be swallowed. The COCs we've talked about. Progesterone pills can still be swallowed. We have injectables, those are that are taken as injections, like the Depo we've talked about in a Dungwa IM. And you have those that are inserted, that can be inserted intravaginally, like the IUDs we're talking about. And the implants we've said, they can be implanted subdermally, somewhere around here or even here, depending on the site of choice. So the modes are quite a number, and I'm sure most of them are available definitely at Nyaluk Medical. We have a number there at PGH Nakuru. We have a number there still that are offered. And the healthcare providers will give detailed explanation and advices on how you can use this depending on your age, preference, and generally your preferability. Yes.
Then, Dr. I think if I can just repeat what you've said, And if I hear you well, you've said that generally we have different types of family planning, and this family planning can either be short term or long term. And I think if I hear you well, you've said that any family planning which is used 3 months and below, we consider it short term, and above 3 months is considered long term. And one of the family planning which people tend to ignore, and it's a form of family planning, it's called condom. And condom, one of the advantages of using a condom is not only family planning, it's the only family planning which prevents you also from getting STIs. And you get, that's why most, if you go to government facilities and even private facilities, you'll get that there's normally a condom section where you'll get these condoms for free. So condom is also a form of family planning, and I think it should be embraced because it's one of the method where we are using to fight HIV and other forms of STIs. Then if I can just reiterate what you've said, we said that we have daily emergency pill which normally people take 3 days or 72 hours between the duration of intercourse, and normally the earlier the better, as in ukichukua mapema ina prevent you from getting unplanned pregnancy. Ukichukua late, the efficacy reduces. And this family planning, it's a combination of like ni doses mingi ya family planning, like it's normally 0.15 milligrams, and you get this one is, the other ones is 0.05 or 0.75. So you get that the concentration of the drug in this emergency oral contraception is normally high, and that's why at sometimes it presents with side effects like intramenstrual bleeding and what have you. And also, if I hear you well, you've said that we have other family planning like Depo-Provera, which is a 3-month injection, and it can come with the also bleeding, weight gain, losing weight, and what have you. And now, if we go to long terms, we have things like Jadel and Implanon, which are normally inserted for 3 years and 5 years respectively. And we have things like IUD. Then IUD is a intrauterine device which is inserted, and we have different types. We have copper and also with the copper and other hormonal therapies. Then after that, now we have a permanent family planning method where we have vasectomy and BTL. And now, Daktari, I just want you to talk about the permanent methods like BTL and vasectomy. And just to remind our viewers that if you are joining us for the first time, this show is being hosted by Nyaluk Foundation, which is a local NGO based in Nakuru, Nasha Plaza, first floor, and just along Most Road. And these family planning are being offered by Nyaluk Medical Clinic at the same place, where you can get them at a very affordable costs. And also you can ask us questions, or you can reach us through 01 10 100 258. You can SMS your question and we'll answer it during the show. Daktari, you can take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doc. I actually realized most of the contraceptive options I talked about were the female options. I didn't touch the male options, and in a gender sensitive era like we are in right now, that is a very grave mistake. So let me start with the male options for contraception that are available, and you've already talked about them. Condoms, CDs, they're the commonest, and as you've said, it's one of the few methods that prevent both pregnancy and STIs. Actually, it's the only contraception that prevents both pregnancy and STDs. condoms, you have both male and female condoms, but female condoms there are fewer in the market, but they do exist. Yeah, and there have been complaints of being difficult to use and they're cumbersome, but indeed they're there. Another method of male contraception is vasectomy, as you've said. These are permanent methods of contraception. One of the key factors that will determine on the type of contraception that one takes is on its reversibility vis-a-vis the irreversibility. Meaning, one will really want to consider whether if I take this, can it be reversible? Will it reach a time whereby if I decide that I need now to stop using this or I want a kid, I can easily use this, revert back to my normal menses, and I can go on with childbearing as planned or uninterrupted. When you talk about permanent methods of contraception, as you've said, we have vasectomy for men and you have BTL for women. When you look at the uptake of vasectomy vis-a-vis BTL, especially in our Kenyan setup, BTL is slightly used. You have a percentage of 5 to 10% of people use BTL as a method of permanent contraception. That is ladies I'm talking about. Definitely it happens in ladies. Especially for those who have reached desired family size, those who have reached older ages, but they're sure that they're not interested in childbearing anymore. When it comes to vasectomy, there is a lot of controversies that surrounds vasectomy. Actually, the uptake in Kenya at now is at less than 1%.
Back to Afya A2 TV program on Tumaini TV. For those who are joining us for the first time, I go by the name Collins Doe, the CEO and founder of Nyaluk Foundation. Nyaluk Foundation is based at Nasha Plaza, first floor, Mosque Road. And generally we deal with the matter sexual and reproductive health, mental health, and environment and health. And today we were talking about sexual and reproductive health. And Dr. Salvan here has given us a very in-depth information on the definition, myths and contraception, myths surrounding family planning and contraception, and also where we can get all these family planning. And also, if you want to be part of this conversation, you can reach us at 0110 100 258. You can SMS your question and it will be answered straight away. So before we go to some of the questions which has been sent, Daktari wanted to talk about the difference between castration and vasectomy and the myths that surrounds the topic, because most men think that if they do vasectomy, they are being castrated, which is normally not the case. So, Daktari, maybe you can talk about it, and also you can tell us where your foundation is, what you do, and the like before you introduce the topic.
Well, thank you very much, Daktari, once again. As you're back on air, I'm Dr. Okengo Salvan. Yes, I'm a medical doctor by profession. But besides that, I'm also passionate about community empowerment. And based on that, we founded a community-based organization by the name VMEO, Victoria Medics Empowerment Organization, where majorly we seek to help and give back to the community on matters health. We also do mentorship. We do education, especially to teenagers and adolescents. Yeah, and back to our talk of today. We are back to sexual reproductive health. We are back to sexual reproductive health talk that we had today. It's been a very interesting discussion. Yes, Daktari, back to you. What was the question again?
The question was, there are men who think that if they are being done vasectomy, they are being castrated. And most people think that if they are castrated, maybe they'll get fat, they won't be able to perform and things like that. Yeah.
These are very sensitive one and a very controversial issue at the same time. naona umeitaja hadi nikasahau swali. So usually when you use the term castration, what most people feel is like their manhood is being removed from them.
Yes.
And most people feel like these terms can be used interchangeably. Like being castrated can be loosely translated as doing a vasectomy. Castration used to be done in the olden times, I think, especially with they were called eunuchs, whereby there was removal of testes. Testes were being removed surgically so that it could reduce the libido and literally let go of that urge of the sexual needs for the men to concentrate in church and spiritual matters.
Yeah, and leadership.
What was the name of the eunuch? There's this famous eunuch in the Bible who walked all the way from my Siri is leaving me. There's a famous eunuch who's from Ethiopia.
I can't recall.
Daktari kumbe pia biology imepotea na Siri yote. Yeah, that's what they used to do in olden times, so that it was believed that when
and I think it was also being used as a punishment for those who had rape cases. So if you've been found that you've raped somebody, they'll castrate you as a form of punishment. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think we need to have that back?
No. That's
a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
No, as a punishment for rape. I mean, rape in context itself is a very inhumane act.
Yeah, all of them are inhumane, but I don't think if an eye for an eye is an option here, because maybe we have other forms of litigations which it can be followed.
Yeah, but most people feel the punishment is not as treacherous as the act itself.
I don't
Anyway,
know, but
that is another
a discussion for another day.
Another discussion for another day.
Yeah.
So the key difference between castration and vasectomy is castration involved removal of the testes.
Yes.
I can actually say testes is what make it a man. Right from our embryology, it's through the testes that the hormone testosterone was produced or was made, and it's through that hormone that even the development that is castration.
Yes.
But for vasectomy, we are not removing the testes. What we are doing is we are preventing the transfer of sperms from the testes all the way through the cords, through the urethra, all the way to the outside environment. So we've not removed your testes. The testis still functions. And just to make it clear, the hormones don't have to travel through the same path as the cords. No, the hormones have their own way of traveling. We used to call it the paracrine function of the hormones.
Yes.
Whereby it means from where it's produced, it can get into the
through the blood.
Exactly, it can get to the adjacent vessels through the blood.
Yeah.
And through that it can still transmit its function to other parts of the body. So by tying the cords, hindering the transfer of sperms from the testes to the outside environment, it doesn't mean that it affected the hormonal function of the testes. That we say that's what makes you a man. Yeah. So this is another myth that we need to demystify, that vasectomy does not make you less of a man.
But
it only prevents your sperms from coming out.
Yeah. So, there were issues around vasectomy where people were asking, so if I'm done vasectomy, will I be able to ejaculate? Will I be able to have sexual satisfaction? So I don't know if you can dive in and tell us, if you've been done a vasectomy, are you in a position to ejaculate? And what if maybe something happens in future, God forbid, maybe you want to get another baby?
Yeah, actually, generally speaking,
yeah,
the permanent methods of contraception comes with its disadvantages. It comes with its share of problems. And that is why most people, when they hear about the permanence of contraception itself, there's that fear that comes with it. Because besides these other issues, there are some natural issues that may be out of human control that can happen along the way. There's another story of a couple that also did the permanent method, BTL, vasectomy. They had, I think, 3 kids. They were not yet so old. They were still within the childbearing age bracket. So they had an accident. Sadly, they lost all the kids. And here we have people in their late 30s. All the kids that you had, all of them are gone.
So unfortunate.
You definitely need other kids. Vasectomy was done. BTL was done. So really, it was a very difficult moment for them, because the other options they have is either IVF or the other assisted reproductive techniques, which are also very expensive, and which still ideally could be a challenge, because one of the disadvantages of vasectomy is that when the cords are tied, what tends to happen is that with time, the sperm's ears are still within the testes. But since they can't come out, the body starts recognizing them as foreign bodies. So you have antibodies that are being formed against your very own sperms, the auto-antibodies. So you find that your own antibodies start destroying the sperms now, because they can't come out and they're still being produced because your testosterone is working. So there's that risk of infertility that might come long term. That is why when you look at stats and data on reversibility of vasectomy, there's still a lot of questions on it that need to be answered, because we can't really be assured of 100% reversibility when it comes to vasectomy. First of all, the cords itself, you might have had necrosis around that area. So yes, regenerating it and letting sperms pass through is really a cause for worry. Secondly, the autoantibodies formed against sperms, again, they won't stop being there once you open you understand how the autoimmune conditions work. Once the autoantibodies are formed, they are there. Which means the other way of working is just to try to cool them down, which again, it's a whole other process. So that is one of the adverse side effects of vasectomy. That is, when we go permanent, we've gone permanent most of the times. It's not easy to reverse. Yes, they do say you have options for reversibility, but I think you may do research on that, on the success rates of reversibility when it comes to vasectomy. But generally, it's one of the side effects of the permanent method. Tunaweza dhani tumekafunga, kumbe bado there are things that might happen outside our control, that may face us with very critical problems.
And I think now, with the advancement of technology and back then we never used to have like fertility doctors, and these are subspecialty in obs-gynae. And I think now we can give hope to those who have done maybe things like vasectomy and BTL, that they can always conceive on things like, how do we call them? Where you go harvest the sperms, you can always approach it through the testes. Then
assisted reproductive technique.
Yeah. So there's hope, but I think now the issue is the cost. So maybe Daktari here will tell us about the cost and how available are those doctors, let's say in the context of Nakuru. How many are they? How accessible are they? And the costs, because I know the cost implication is so high. And I think after that we'll take some few questions, then we proceed.
Yeah, sure. Kuzaa ikitoka outside the natural methods.
Yeah.
I realize wenye kuzaa ni pesa mingi sana. Very expensive.
Yeah.
So the exact cost really, I will not be best placed to talk about it. I have never taken somebody through one before. I think fertility experts would give us the best rates on that. But within Nakuru, we have our very own gynecologist, Dr. Nondi. Yes, who does that and can take you through that. Is that Assumption Plaza, somewhere there. Mercy Mission, the same building that houses Mercy Mission. Yes, he actually does that, and what I know he says they are very expensive. We are talking to tunes of over 500,000 Kenya shillings probably, depending on the options you want. Kuna options IVF venye amesema, where tunatoa sperm yake, tunatoa ovum yake pia. Then now we go fertilize them in an external environment, tunaziweka, we keep them until a certain age where they can again be implanted tena kwa home sasa. Still kuna options za surrogacy whereby the mother does not want to keep the pregnancy all those gestational through the gestational period. So we do the external fertilization, kanakuwa, it's kept within an external environment that suits it. Then it's implanted kwa another mother sasa, then we call surrogate mother. There's that option, still very expensive. It means you have to pay for the IVF. There are laws surrounding surrogacy, lazima ulipe pia. Huo mama mkubaliane vizuri.
I don't know if it's accepted in Kenya because it's something which is I think Milo Odhiambo had that whatever she was passing is through the parliament, and it has taken quite a time for that law to be implemented. But I know that people who do surrogacy in Kenya, and I think it's cheaper here as compared to other countries.
Yeah, I think our laws generally are still silent on it because it's not such it's not an issue that has been talked about a lot. So probably the legislation has not focused so much on it. But I think it's something that is doable. We have fertility clinics that are undertaking it. Yeah, we also have options of what do we call it? Freezing eggs.
Yes.
Whereby for ladies ameamua anataka kusoma ama anataka kufanya mambo mengine lakini miaka zinaenda. Unajua nasema for ladies the best time to give birth, the best time to have a child is when you're still young generally. Of which young we mean literally in your 20s. The moment uingie mid 30s, past 35 actually we start calling it a high risk pregnancy. High risk simply means that these are pregnancy whereby you have to be cautious with it because you expect that there are many things that can go wrong with it than the good things that can happen. Like these are pregnancies whereby you may expect adverse outcomes, especially just depending on relying on the age that is. So you find you have to go to clinics more regularly. You have to your antenatal clinics lazima visit regularly. So for ladies when unaona miaka inaenda sana but they still have other pertinent issues, kuna education hapa, kuna nini, siwezi shika ball sahi. Kuna option ya kufreeze eggs. Zamua atoe eggs zake at 20s. Zinaenda zinawekwa kwa fridge na zinawekwa pale hadi time atamua atakuwa ready. And they can stay kwa fridge for years, over 10 years. Ziko tu pale, umewekewa tu mayai yako, endelea na maneno yako. Hadi siku atafeel, sasa niko ready, nimemalizana na mambo zangu za nini, wacha niende mayai yangu sasa ifertiliziwe nikuwe na mtoi.
And by the way, on that point, the frozen eggs gives quality babies as compared to the one which you've just ovulated. I don't know if you knew that.
Are you talking out of experience?
Yes. Like, for example,
Are you talking out of experience or out of research?
Out of research. For example, like let's say when I don't know if you're a farmer, but we used to farm back in the village, and there's this option where you could put maize seeds somewhere, then you pour water, then they start germinating before you plant. And when you just take a fresh maize and you go and plant it directly, you get that the germination and the crop whatever growth is more enhanced when you do that whatever thing before planting, as compared to planting directly when you've not tried to germinate these plants. So the same case also applies to freezing the eggs. So when you freeze the eggs, actually the fertility and whatever is much faster as compared to when you just ovulate directly from from the ovaries.
I'm not sure whether you can transfer Daktari's farming skills to this concept. But yeah, I think I'll read around it and see the research on it. But that is interesting if that's the case.
Yeah, sure. So just a reminder again.
Just a conclusion on the issue. It's actually very expensive, really. But wanasemanga expensive depends.
Yeah, it's relative.
On who you're talking to.
Yeah. It's relative actually.
It depends on the yenye expensive kwako is expensive kwangu. Yeah, so I think the message is there are those techniques, they are available and they're even available within town. Na tumesema hadi Dr. Nondi, we have a very good expert, good gynecologist mwenye anadeal na hizi vitu. You can always reach out. Hapa tutao Assumption Plaza.
And I don't know if Dr. Nondi paid you to...
Ni kama nimelipwa.
Unaona? So
I think he's one of the fertility specialists wenye najua in town. I don't know any other one. Otherwise ningapea shout out pia. Sijalipwa. Sijalipwa.
Okay, if you are joining us for the first time, I'm Collins Doe, the CEO and founder of Nyaluk Foundation. Nyaluk Foundation runs a local NGO, and we deal in sexual and reproductive health, mental health, and environment and health. We are based in Nasha Plaza, first floor, Mosque Road, and we also have a clinic by the name Nakuru Nyaluk Medical Clinic, which is SHA accredited. You can always come and get your quality health services. And as per yesterday, we also introduced the eye clinic with ultra modern equipment, which will be able to take care of all matters eye care at Nyaluk. And normally our prices are a bit subsidized, and we do this for the society. We are a very charitable organization, and your health really matters to us. And if you want to join this conversation, you can reach us at 01 10 100 258. You can send your questions, your concerns, and also if you want to be part of this show, as maybe you want to give a testimony, or you want to give a medical account on these issues we are talking about, you can also reach us through this number so that you can be part of this conversation. And at this point, I want to ask some questions which are being asked by our viewers back at home, like Mary Njeri asked that how effective is the method of this family planning, and she's saying that she was on family planning, but unfortunately she conceived. So she's asking how effective is this family planning, Daktari?
Well, thank you very much, Mary Njeri, for joining us. The effectiveness of the various contraceptive methods depends on the type used, the mode that is used, and how it is used. We have, it's called the Pearl Index, that really tries to rate the efficacy of various contraceptive methods. But what I can tell you for sure, there is no contraceptive method that is 100% effective.
Sure.
Let me make a quote on that actually. A contraceptive method that is 100% effective is that which is used consistently and correctly. I think that is the main point. If it's used consistently and correctly, it's many a times, 10 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to work correctly. Others also agree that there's some methods which are more effective than others. We have the natural method of contraception that we didn't talk about, whereby ile ya kufuata days, unaangalia rhythm,
that one days
zangu, na it's also a contraceptive method. But now, when you look at the efficacy of that vis-a-vis something like IUD, the rates are staggeringly wide.
Yeah, I think the issue with that now comes when they say that you can't work against your hormone. You are what you are because of your hormone. Because at time, you can be using that calendar, but God created us majorly, like God created reproductive health majorly for recreation. And for that recreation, for it to happen, for example, a lady has to ovulate. And when you're ovulating is when you want it more. So at time, the hormone rises and you are not that safe. Now, that's when you want it. You see? So the calendar method, you have to be very, very disciplined. And I think also what we didn't talk about, I don't know if we can use this podium to discuss about it, but it's a bit tricky, ishi kidogo. It's called coitus interruptus. The withdrawal method.
Yeah, it still falls under the natural methods of contraception that we are talking about.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to drive through is different contraceptive methods have different efficacy rates. For example, the natural methods of contraception have a lower efficacy rates compared to the to other methods of contraception. Still under mono, we have different percentage rates of success depending on the method used. For example, the IUD has been found actually to be a very effective method. Success rate inachezea, I think 97 to 98%. Yes, but my parting shot is depending on the method that will be advised and you'll find effective for you depending on your age, your family size, your work-life balance at that moment. The most effective method of contraception is that which is used consistently and correctly.
Yes. And also, just to advise her, also, maybe she was using that family planning when she's taking other drugs also.
Yes, very true. There are other things that can actually diminish the strength or how these contraceptives works while taking them.
Yeah.
For example, somebody on anti-TBs, unapata mtu some HIV drugs, drugs like rifamycin, antifungal zingine. So ukienda hosi na contraception, you need to tell your healthcare provider that at the moment kuna hii dawa na meza, so that akipeana madawa they can advise accordingly. Na hata sipeani madawa zingine. That has also been an issue by the way. Unapata mtu wako on anti-TBs na wako on COCs. Hizo zenye zinamezwa hajaambiwa. Kumbe rifampin huku ina reduce efficacy ya COCs.
Yeah. Then Paul Maina is asking whether if this family planning they are being covered with the health insurance, like maybe SHA, SHIF.
Yeah, I think they are. For example, in our facility at PGH, I think most of them are actually covered by SHA, SHIF. In private facilities, I think you'd shed more light on that.
Yes, actually, the family planning are covered by health insurance, but what is not covered and what is being, I think, it's controversial, is about the assisted IVF. So those who are not covered with most insurance, because I don't know, they are considered as cosmetics or something, and they are a bit expensive. But the normal family planning are covered by most insurances. So then there's another person who is asking by the name Wafula. Does the method protect against sexually transmitted infections? I think that one we did answer.
Yeah, we did answer that.
And
we said condoms actually are the only method that actually protects against both pregnancy and STIs. We encourage their use because of that important aspect of them.
Then there's somebody by the name Wangare from Naka is asking, what if I'm not sexually active? Do I also still have to use family planning as I have sex not consistently. So she's asking when to use the family planning because she's not consistently having intercourse.
I've actually taken a post to your point. You're not consistently having.
Yeah.
So is she not having sex at all, or she's having but not consistent?
She's having but not consistently.
Simply translated, it means she's using the natural methods of contraception, which is still a method either way, but just the way you said, it has a lot of shortfalls. Its predictability and reliability can be of question, because really it needs you to have regular periods for you to tell exactly your safe days and the other days when you're unsafe.
And maybe if we can have our last question from Alan from Kiamunyi, is asking how often do condoms fail?
Oh, interesting on that one. I think I'll need to check on the efficacy rate of condoms. I haven't checked the last stats on it. Yeah, but they do fail. We do have condom busts. There's a percentage on it. I think you can Google to check on that. There's it's not 100% effective as you always say, yes, but I'm sure the efficacy rate is somewhere greater than 90%.
And Daktari, there's this one thing which people keep on talking about, and I don't know if it works or not, and I don't have a data on it, but there's this perception that maybe if a lady wants to have your baby and you used a condom, then they can just, maybe when you've left, or they can keep that condom, then they use the sperms and maybe put them through their reproductive organs and they'll get pregnant. I don't know if it happens. I don't know. Maybe you can shed some light on it.
Yeah, that is an interesting one.
Yeah,
really, I've never had such a scenario.
Yeah.
But yes, indeed, it can happen.
Yeah.
As long as the sperms can get in contact with your genital tract.
Yeah.
And
because because I know how the condoms are made, there is some spermicidal effect which is normally impregnated in the condom. So it's like a double effect. When the sperm hits the condom, they'll die regardless of, like, the condom have some spermicidal impregnated agents. Yeah. So I think, maybe, I don't know, but to me, from the science perspective, I wouldn't say that even if the lady takes the sperms in the condom and pour it inside, she'll be able to get pregnant. Because even if you do analysis of the live sperms after sexual intercourse in the condom, they are normally, most of them are dead. So I think the message which should go outside there to our youths, anybody maybe who uses a condom and fears that the lady might pour it inside the reproductive organ, that lady will get pregnant. I think the percentage is a bit low. I don't know what you'll comment.
Yeah, really, I think it's possible, but I've never heard of such a scenario.
Okay.
I think I'll not be best placed to yes.
So we are coming to our tail end of this conversation. I hope our viewers have learned something, and it has been quite an interactive session with our renowned Dr. Salvan from PGH Nakuru. And if you are joining us for the first time, you can always get this interview through our social media places. Like you can log into Tumaini TV, Afya Yetu show, and you'll have this conversation. You can log into Nyaluk Foundation. All our platforms are Nyaluk Foundation. You'll have this conversation, and you can keep this conversation going through our social media platforms and also through this number. And also, Dr. Salvan here will tell you where you can find their organization.
Thank you very much, Dr. It has been an interactive and insightful session. We've enjoyed every bit of it. The talk has been engaging, and I hope our viewers have found it helpful and engaging too. Yes, once again, I'm Dr. Kengo Salvan. Partly I do work at PGH. I also do volunteer a lot. I volunteer at New Life Home. Yes, it's somewhere in Milimani. If you find your time, you can pass by. We have, it's a home that deals with special needs kids and neglected kids. You can always pass by, volunteer, take time with those kids in any way or in any way possible. You can always find something to give to the kids. Yes, besides that, as I said, I run a CBO by the name Victoria Medis Organization. I'm the Secretary General of that organization. I double up as the CEO. We majorly deal in community empowerment and promotion within Nakuru. We have a group of doctors, clinicians, and nurses that have come with together to impact this shared vision and interest. But we accept all volunteers. As long as you can make it, we do our stuff within Nakuru. We actually have an upcoming medical camp somewhere in Shabab, malinaitwa Ronda uko chini. Yes, we invite all potential partners, collaborators on board. You don't have to be a medic. Unaweza saidia in any way, logistical support, funds, donors. And even hata kupanga tu out, it's a medical camp, watu watakuwa wengi sana. So we invite all that may be interested in this initiative. Yes. Otherwise, a final one, I would want to ask Daktari one final shot, a parting shot, depending on contraception. You always say that within 9 months, only one lady can get pregnant.
Yeah.
But within the same 9 months, one man can make 9 ladies pregnant. What would you say, depending on the modes of contraception that you have available, targeting men and women, based on these facts?
I think that's a very tricky situation, being that you are in church, and in church we encourage that faithfulness. Yeah. So generally what doctor is asking is that the rule of nature doesn't need a man to survive. The rule of nature needs women to survive. That's why you get that there are so many female gender than male gender, because for the reasons he has said, that one man can make 9 ladies pregnant, but one lady can only get pregnant for 9 months. So that's the rule of nature. That's how God wanted it to be. And I think I'll leave it at that. And also I would ask you a parting shot that maybe you can link the topic we've been talking about to the church, because family planning is a very controversial issue when it comes to the church, because the church wants us to do that thing that God created us to do. So I don't know if you can give your parting shot in that line as we end the session.
Yes, asante sana. Tukimaliza, abstinence is actually a natural form of contraception. To abstain, that will be our pilot discussion in our next show. That will be on Friday next week. Yes, I think we'll delve deep into contraception and the church, what the church thinks about contraception, the barriers that you have, the clash in ideologies that you have concerning this issue. Because the church has a unique, understandable bearing when it comes to contraception, which does make sense, I agree. But I think we'll have that discussion in depth in our next show. But it's just a reminder that abstinence is still a form of natural method of contraception.
Thank you so much, our viewers, for joining us this morning. As we end our show, we want to remind you that this is Afya Yetu TV program, which will be running every Friday. And as Doc has said, we have a show planned for you for the whole of this year, and we'll be talking matters health. We want your view to count, so kindly reach us through that number. We've reach us through 0110 100 258, so that you can be part of this conversation. You can tell us the topic we want us to discuss. You can also request to come to this show, so that you can be part and parcel of this show. Reach us at Nyaluk Foundation in all our platforms. You can also reach us at Tumaini TV in all our platforms, and we have a very nice show planned for you for the whole of 2025. Thank you, and see you next Friday.